Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you've been here for a while, you've probably noticed that I haven't been uploading for a few months now, and that is actually because my mom had a stroke at the end of November. However, I'm happy to say that she is doing much better now. She's able to be more independent, and so now I have more time to devote to uploading videos regularly on here, so look forward to that. And if you're new here, thank you so much for subscribing, even though I haven't been uploading. I guess I must be doing something right. But yeah, I wanted to make a video today to talk about this song called 2021 Barbie Girl by an artist by the name of Hannah Grae. It's actually a reinterpretation / cover of the original Barbie Girl by the Danish band Aqua that came out during the 90s. So without further ado, let's get into it. So before we listen to the new version, let's listen to a little bit of the original Barbie Girl by Aqua just so we can get a little bit of a refresher. We're not going to listen to the whole song here because we don't have time for all that. We'll just listen to a little snippet. Old dreams dying hard. You want you to return this love. So some things that we should note about this original are that it is very upbeat, it's lighthearted, it's fun, the whole vibe is let's just go party, forget our troubles. And in terms of production value, you can tell that their production team definitely pulled out all the stops. There's so many effects, there's kabasa, there are these bouncy synths, even the vocal singer's voice has been auto-tuned to the point that it does sound plastic, just like Barbie. So it is very, very produced and manufactured. Let's say that. And now let's listen to the 2021 Barbie Girl version by Hannah Grae. And for the record, there is a recorded version that she put on Spotify. We're gonna listen to the raw video she uploaded onto YouTube just because I feel like that's more intimate and personal. Here we go.
I'm a Barbie girl living in a man's world.
Ooh, yeah, when I first heard that line, I was just like, wow, this is so different. So right away you can tell that it's a very sharp contrast to the original Barbie Girl, because instead of, you know, fun, upbeat, light-hearted vibes, here she completely spins it to sort of airing her grievances about living in a man's world as a woman and how hard it is to be that. You know, when I first heard that, I was just drawn in automatically by just the shift in narrative and storytelling there. And even just in terms of musical styling, you know, if you take into account the way that the original was produced, like I said, the producers definitely pulled out all the stops there with all the sound effects. In a way, the music is sort of like really dressed up, you know, like how a woman might dress up to go out on a Saturday night if they were ultra feminine in the traditional sense. But here with her version, it's very stripped down, it's very raw and honest and real, and it's just, you know, her and vocals, and later you'll hear some strings.
They think I'm plastic. It's fantastic.
They think I'm plastic. It's fantastic. So in the original they say life is plastic, it's fantastic, and they actually really do mean it in a genuine sense. But here you can definitely tell that she's not happy about being treated like plastic, essentially being treated as less than human, which is something that as girls, as women, whether it's online or just going around our, you know, daily errands, that's something that we do have to deal with on a constant basis. And so I love that she, you know, included that line in there to kind of wake people up and say, like, you know, it's not all that great being a woman. I mean, being a woman itself is great, but having to deal with everyone else who is not a woman or female-bodied person, it's not so fantastic.
They think that they can stare, undress me anywhere. It's just romantic. stop being dramatic.
Oh, okay, so many layers here. So she says they think that they can stare, undress me anywhere, and you can tell that this is definitely alluding to issues of consent and maybe even delving into the issue of sexual assault. And to go further with that, you know, she's saying it's romantic, stop being dramatic. And what that speaks to me as a woman is my experience of having people listen to my stories of sexual harassment or assault and just saying like, oh, well, it just means he likes you. That was a message that I got a lot as a young girl. It's like, if a boy picked on me, it's just boys will be boys, you know. If he's being mean to you, it's because he likes you, which is definitely problematic because that normalizes relational male aggression. You know, if I like a boy, not a boy, a man, I'm kind to them, I'm courteous. I don't normalize that by, you know, punching them or pulling their hair or showing any kind of aggression. That's not normal and it's not okay. So to me, that line is so powerful because it's essentially a pointed commentary about how far, far too often our experiences with sexual assault and harassment are often downplayed and minimized. And then there's a short interlude, and now here we are at the chorus, the pièce de résistance.
I'm a Barbie girl, living in a man's world. I should feel lucky, just being their understudy.
Oof. You can just hear the anguish in her voice there. I'm a Barbie girl living in a man's world. I should feel lucky just being their understudy. And for me, I interpreted that as, well, I mean, there's a literal translation there, you know, as a woman, you're supposed to just feel grateful that you're even essentially allowed to exist, even though worrying about violence when we're just out and about living our lives is something we constantly have to deal with. And, you know, I don't know where you're watching this from. I live in America, so I can't really speak for what it's like outside of America. But, you know, women's issues are still a huge problem around the world. I mean, you know, some women just recently got the right to drive by themselves, and there are other places where, like in Mexico, for example, women and girls are literally killed for no other reason than the fact that they are women. And in America, we still have a very, very pervasive rape culture. Every single female friend I have has been harassed or sexually assaulted at some point. I mean, I don't think anyone knows any girl or woman who hasn't been through that. And people want to tell us that, oh, you're not being killed because you're a woman. You have it pretty good here. But the thing is, like, oppression isn't an Olympic sport. I'm not trying to, you know, leverage this against what other women are experiencing. That's not how we should measure the oppression someone else is going through anyway. And just because something isn't the worst it can be doesn't mean it's the best, you know. So I just wanted to point that out. But yes, I thought that line was very brilliant.
I'm a Barbie girl, don't stand a chance in this man world. Imagination, life is your creation.
Okay, so here's what I like about this part, because there's a little bit of a shift in the storytelling here. I don't know if you caught that. So here she says, I'm a Barbie girl, don't stand a chance in this mad world. You know, just really hammering the point home that it's really hard to exist and live in peace as a woman on this planet. Definitely relate to that. And at the end of it, however, there's like a glimmer of hope where she says, imagination, life is your creation. So let's see where she's going with this.
Come on Barbie, let's go party, wear whatever makes you happy. Come on Barbie, need no army, do whatever makes you happy.
So now you can really hear how the storytelling has shifted from it's really hard to exist as a woman, and now the narrative has shifted to come on girls, just do whatever makes you happy, wear whatever you want. Who cares what society thinks? Just do you. And I love that.
Come on people, let's be real. I'm not saying you're to blame. Come on people, let's be real. The world is ours to change.
So when she says, come on people, let's be real, I'm not saying you're to blame. Come on people, let's be real. The world is ours to change. So like I said, when she said, imagination, life is your creation, that was when the narrative flipped, because now we're going from, you know, the battled woman or girl who's been through all this BS that society puts us through, but now we're waking up to the reality that we do have the power to change the future. We do have the power to make a better world for our posterity.
You're a Barbie girl. If not, then it's still your world to make a difference. It's our existence.
So this verse is literally my favorite out of the entire song. She says, you are a Barbie girl. If not, it's still your world to make a difference. It's your existence. And I'm just gonna point to the comment on her official video for the track that Hannah herself liked. And I want to expand on that. What I wrote is, there's no right or wrong way to be a woman. We're multidimensional beings, and I wish everyone else understood that. However we choose to exist or express ourselves, we are all equally brilliant and amazing. And as someone who, I'm a hardcore feminist, aka womanist, in every single way possible, as much as I can be, and as much as my self-awareness will let me. I love women with every fiber of my being. That's just how I want to exist in the world. And I love women who even don't identify as feminists. That's totally fine. And that's what feminism is about. You know, letting everyone express themselves freely and choose to live the life they want without any judgment or evisceration, like feminine power. What's so great about it is it's fluid, and we can all decide what that means for each of us. You know, for me, I'm not sure I want kids in the future. That should be fine. Like, for me it's fine. For a lot of people, that's not okay. At the same time, I'm not gonna judge someone who's a stay-at-home mom and decides that raising 3 kids is what she wants to do with the rest of her life because that's meaningful and purposeful to her. Who are we to decide what gives meaning to someone else's life? And if you're really spending all this time, you know, trampling other people's flowers, so to speak, why don't you spend time growing your own garden? I'm just saying. So the overall message I got from this song is that as a woman, your superpower lies in you being true to yourself. And in regards to the original Barbie Girl song by Aqua, I do think that someone could definitely make the case that it's sexist. I actually don't think that it's sexist. I actually think that it does, however, perpetuate and uplift a very specific form of femininity, which is usually, you know, traditional girly girl who wears high heels, lots of makeup, super glam, you know. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no right or wrong way to be a woman. The only issue I have with that is when women are pressured into being that because that's what society deems as most acceptable and valid. So to any young girl or woman watching this, I hope that instead of waking up every morning asking yourself, what will I do to make myself look good or fit into society? Instead, you ask yourself, what will I do to make myself feel good? Because that's how we'll tap into the divine feminine superpowers we all have. So overall, I really loved this song. I thought it was touching, moving, inspiring, real, authentic, visceral, just really hit me in my core. That's why I wanted to make, I guess, a 15-minute video about it. I don't know, this is probably like an hour-long video now. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. If you liked my commentary or this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time.